Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I come to you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator, and I mean that sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And I'm here tonight with my helmet on. It is a true World War II English version helmet that was in World War II. It's got a few dents in it where a bullet or two might have hit it. And I figured that I needed to make sure that I was protected from any outside sources because let me tell you now, um, what's coming up here in the next few weeks, the next 2 months, is like anybody's guess. Now, I've been watching the Hunger Games on television today, just as haven't seen it in a while, and I got to thinking, with all the stuff that's going on this planet, not especially these United States, I thought about it and I said, we're in the middle of the Blunder Games, my friends, and I see Michelle and Sovereign and Teresa and Milky Way Soul Tribe. Hello, howdy, 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 y'all. Now, this is a bit of a sarcastic, kind of thing. And I was trying to write some stuff down. And of course, I'm late getting on here, but I was trying to write some stuff down. And it just begins like this. And so we begin the last 60 days before it's time for election. Some say our votes don't count. Some say it's more like a selection. Now, that's as far as I got because I had to tend to the dog and I had to go pee and other things. But in this, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I was going to write down some prose and a little bit of poetry, a little bit of humor here. And I realized that this is going to be an ongoing show, my friends. The Blunder Games are going to be continuous, much like the sequels to the Hunger Games, Mockingjay, and Part 1 and Part 2. There may be probably several updates to this Blunder Games as we go along. Now, this is the initial Blunder Games Part 1. Welcome, my friends. Because it's already starting to get kind of juicy out there, I mean, they're slinging bows and arrows and stuff back at each other. The Democrats are this and the Republicans are that. Now, I'm going to try my best to not take any side, okay? But I got to say that being an ex-Democrat, I'm sorry, just some of the stuff that they have come up with, I got to pick on them a little bit, maybe slightly more than the Republicans. Now, I think to myself in these Blunder Games, there's going to be slings and arrows, right? In a week or so, they're supposed to have the debates. Now, if that's not going to be one blunderbuss of a beautimous type of beatification of stupidity, and I believe that, Sleepless in Biden is going to be napping that night. They better hit him up with some adrenaline and some speed, and they need to implant something in his head or something to keep him alive because what I've seen of old Croaky Joe here lately is that he's about 10 cards deck, 10 cards shy of a deck. Not just one or two, but about 10 at the moment. And there's so much ammunition aimed against him and his running mate. And of course, all of the connections with the Soros group and, and who knows what else is going on. But the blunder is already up. Has already started. They blundered when 2 weeks ago or so, they decided to come out and say that masks should be mandatory. Well, there's been more unmasking demonstrations lately all over, just not in the United States, but all over the planet, you know? So it's like, is that like blunder number one? Well, let's see. Let me take a gun and shoot my foot. Wait a minute. That's blunder number two. They want to control the guns even more than they already do. And I've seen commercials put out by the Democrats. And, you know, it's like if you have a gun in the house, you should, you know, take all the bullets out and put the bullets in a separate location. And you should put a gun lock on the gun. And then you should put the gun in a separate place locked up. Now, if somebody breaks in your house, you got to find a key to get into the gun safe. Then you got to unlock the trigger guard. And then you got to find the damn ammunition. By that time, you're dead. Your family has been slaughtered and your house is on fire. Now, I don't mean that to be, you know, then what's the point of having the gun? Can it not be loaded in the safe so that, you know, okay. But this idea, so the blunder is already started. You know, okay, well then, so a lot of Americans recently, especially with all the riots and stuff, they're like, you know, I think I need a weapon. Now, I never considered having a weapon. And maybe I need to have one now. So gun sales have been out the roof. So you got to ask yourself, did they just shoot themselves in the foot twice with a gun they're not supposed to own? All right, well now, and so now with all the doctors and everything talking about the flu virus thing and about how, you know, the masks aren't really doing us any good, but they're still pushing it. So is that blunder number three? Now, I know I mentioned it as number one, that we should all wear, you know, everybody should be mandatory. Well, that's a mandatory anything from them idiots is like, look, there's a sack of snakes over here. And I think one of them snakes is a moccasin and one of them is a rattlesnake. Now, they ain't going to tell me which one is where or which is which. They're just going to ask me to put my hand in that bag and grab one. Now, you know, to us folks down here in the South, we say, them people are plumb ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's ignorance on both sides, let me tell you. There are some of these folks who are like, well, you know, we need to cut out this, and we need to cut out that, we need to cut. They're being a little bit too conservative, you know. Now, I thought I was a liberal all my life until I see some of these liberals running around. I'm going, when did I become a conservative? You know, I'm a hippie. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I smoked weed, and I did acid, and I tripped and did these things, and you know, went to concerts, and what? How in the hell did I become a conservative? Things have gotten really wacky in the world. So now with this blunder of the elections, now there, you know, 80 million mail-in ballots have been printed or passed out or whatever. 80 million. Now the post office is complaining that, you know, oh, guess what? We don't know if we can handle all that extra stuff. Well, now who's going to count them? You know, I said this before, but now this is blunder number 4 for whoever side you want to vote for. So, but this idea of mailing in your ballot. Now, for those of us who are old enough to remember the election of 2000, okay, with the hanging chads, the dangling chads, and the this and the vote and all that stuff, it was a consecrated mess from hell. Now, you know, there are people who really don't remember that. They were born, you know, they were kind of young when that happened and don't really remember, you know, the incident. We all remember who was around and went, oh my God, it took them weeks and it looked like it was going to be months before we got any kind of an honest to God account of the vote, right? And you know, Florida was declared by his brother Jeb before the election. You know, I mean, there was just so much stuff. That was a bunch of blunders, but they got away with it. So for those of us who remember the blunders, but other folks getting away with it, you got to scratch your head and go, okay, now who is in charge of this blunderbuss of a cluster muck that's going on right now? Who's in charge of this mess? because it's a mess. So there, we haven't seen riots like this in quite a long time. Thank goodness. The people are all up about, well, black folks aren't for Trump when, the Democrats are really worried about that. Now, is that a blunder? Well, we're Democrats. We got all the black folks. Is that a blunder? Just wonder. Now, that would be like blunder number 5. And we've just started. We've got 2 more months of this to go along now. I expect that this is going to get downright crazy and weird, quite frankly, because there are other things to play. Now, we all know that at some point we have the Agenda 21 that's sitting in the background. And for those of you who may not know what Agenda 21 is, just type it in Agenda 2030 and do a little homework if you don't know. They want to get rid of a lot of us. They want to, section off the United States into different colonies, with Atlanta being the head of one, and up there in the Northeast, and then out west, it's all going to be subdivided into different FEMA sections and so forth. We haven't heard much about the FEMA stuff recently, but it's come back up again, And so I'm wondering if this is another blunder from, I don't know where it's coming from. But the fact that there are so many people who are like, well, I don't even know if I want to vote this time. Well, okay, so the blundering and the confusion and, the FUBAR, okay, effed up beyond all recognition, right? FUBAR. So there's a FUBAR in the works to where, like, there are so many people that are at least, they may not be woke up, but they're not asleep. Okay, they're sort of in that catatonic state between sleep and awake, but they're like shaking their head, going, "Wait, let me get some coffee here." By the way, thank you, Bob, and to all you all out there, a little bit of coffee. But to the point of this debacle that's coming up and has already started, I think you should get some popcorn, and rather than get worried about it, because whoever these people are that are operating ever since Kennedy and back in the days of FDR, the shadow, whoever them folks are, and there's a bunch of them, and they're Democrats and Republicans, they're not one side or the other. They're the bad guys, period. And they work in both camps. So we have treasonous traitors in all shapes, sizes, forms, and walks of life. Now, so the first thing you need to know is, oh my God, there's traitors. Well, yeah, like, okay. So let's take a look at this and say, for example, maybe what we should do is just watch this comedy unfold, because none of us can really tell you what's going to happen, except it's going to get worse. And they're going to try to suck you, your neighbors, and everybody else into this thought. And I want to just tell you, put your helmets on and get protected, because there's going to be a lot of stuff, and it's going to me, I'm going to go, what are they doing? But at the same time, I have to say, I'm just going to sit back and laugh. Now there's going to be updates to this. This is just a little beginning to the blunder, but the blunder games is on, and it should be interesting. But one of the things I want to warn everybody about is, don't take it too much to heart, because we never know how things are going to play out. Now, we participate by making sure that we stay, our core values, and that we make sure that we understand where we stand, pick a side and stick with it. Now, this thing's heavy. It really is a World War II. I got it from England, and there are dents on this helmet. It's a for real World War II helmet. Bought it off of eBay years ago for a play I was in. But anyway, but to take that off and to get a little bit more serious for a few minutes, I didn't intend for this video to necessarily be too long, other than the fact that there are things out there that people are just going to go, what, this year? In the next couple of months, just be ready. And rather than, get all mad, we should laugh at them. We should laugh in their face, like, you're going to do what? Okay, all right, okay. Rather than panic, oh my God, They're going to stop the world. They're trying to kill us all. Right. That's one of their main objectives, to separate us, to keep us apart, to keep us in so much chaos that we won't know how to react. They're going to keep throwing action, reaction out to everybody. Now, in theater, one of the big rules of thumb to be a good actor or actress is acting is reacting. So now we don't want to act. We wish to be who we are. We wish to remain sovereign in ourselves. And in that sovereignty of self, we need to say, listen, I'm going to watch this comedy of errors unfold these next 2 weeks. And I've pretty much got who I'm going to vote for. I'm going to listen and pay attention. But, you know, the biggies, I've pretty much made up my mind. And as a lot of other people have. So the next 2 weeks or next 2 months are going to be in such a way that they're going to, God knows what these crazy folks are going to do. And I'm sitting, I'm going, you know, it's already been kind of, you know, foobar, right? Mucked up beyond all recognition. But you got to say, well, but hang on here. What is their goal? To keep us confused. What do they want out of us? To keep us confused. They want us pissed off at each other. And the last thing we should do is just go like, look, most of us have already made up my mind. Those swing states or whatever, maybe there's some people in there, not really. But I think with all the fun and games coming from the Democratic side and all this, it's stupid, some of the things they're saying. Downright, utterly, it's stupid. I just can't believe it. You know, but everybody should wear a mask all the time. It should be mandatory from the United States government. Oh, go to somewhere other than here. I live out in the country. I'm not wearing a mask all the time. And there are other people who live in town that are going, no, we're tired of this. And we have found out that it's not really viable for us. Hey, iStation Z and Robert V, you're back. And Fox, I hope you're doing Mubar. That's right. Hey, for Station and Z, yeah, good to see you all. Oh, and Cherry, how are you? Let me see what you got up here. Blunder Dome, yes, thank you. Oh, Michelle, you're great. Yeah, it's you know, it's the Mad Max show Beyond Blunder Dome with all, you know, with your favorite TV personalities. Let's see, there's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The people you don't want to drop a nuke. I mean, that you don't want them to have the button to drop a nuke on someone. You know, someone who doesn't know where she lives or where she comes from. And wait a minute, we're not even sure if you're eligible to be vice president. But, you know, everybody said, woo, we're going to make her that. And when no one else would, can you think about that? She was the last one on the list. But, oh, but she's going to pull in blunder. But there are people who must be blunderlust. How about that one? Blunderlust. In that they are taking this confusion and they're pulling it on and they're using it for their own weapon. You know, well, you know, the BLM. I thought the BLM, trust me, was the Bureau of Land Management. I didn't know it was the Black Lives Matter. I mean, you know, so for a long time, BLM meant to me Bureau of Land Management. But if you're, you know, someone who lives in the city all the time, you wouldn't necessarily know that. But anyway, so, but the blunder is continuing. And they're going to will do their best to fluster us and turn us against one another. Now, for those who are going to vote for Biden, you go right ahead. That is your right. But at the same time, I would ask you, double check your facts on some of the things this man has discussed and the accusation that he's made towards others, and make sure that you're actually right about what you're saying. Well, he said this, and I'm sure that he isn't, because guess what? He's an honorable man. And well, they're all honorable men. This is sort of relating back to the video I did last night, early this morning, the speech of Mark Antony and Brutus. And Brutus, would just spoke to the crowd and said, "You must believe me because I am an honorable man. I am honorable, so therefore you must honor me." And because I'm an honorable man, and Caesar was, was ambitious. And Mark Antony comes back and he goes, well, Caesar, he did this and that, and he left a will for you folks. But, Brutus is an honorable man and Caesar was ambitious. But, but Brutus is an honorable man. And so they all are. All of them are honorable men. That's a direct quote that I'm remembering from the lines. But anyway, so they're all talking about honor, and they're all talking about this and that and how they're right and the other guy is wrong. But the proof is in the pudding. Trump said something yesterday in a rally, and he goes, "Biden's been in there for 47 years. What has he really accomplished?" And people should honestly look at that. Whether Trump's right or wrong, you should look at his record, and say, well, wait a minute, he's been there. We want to hire him for 4 years as the president when he can't even remember his name and he's over sniffing hair and bending over to little kids and, and being creepy. We want that guy to be our president. I mean, forget about politics. But so the comedy of errors is going to continue. We're going to see what else they're going to try to pull. And I would say, get your popcorn ready. Sit down rather than get upset about it. Now, rule of thumb is you got 5 minutes to be pissed off. Take that 5 minutes. If something yanks your chain, then set the clock, set the timer for 5 minutes and get pissed off, pound the table and get it out of your system, and then sit back and watch the show. Because whatever they're going to pull on us, all we're really going to be able to do is observe it. But as I've stated, vote in person. We are very important people. And when we vote in person, we prove to them a lot of things. We're not going to fall, even if I have to wear masks. Don't care. I will go because I'm going to show the world my own little light here that I'm afraid of these clowns. Okay. I'm going to go in and cast my vote because it is my right as an American citizen. And if I'm an American, then I should take the risk and go vote. I mean, we are the Minutemen right now and women. We are the patriots. And if we don't show up in numbers and prove it, then we can just sit back and go, well, I don't know, all them mail-in votes and nah. Encourage your friends, even if they're Democrat. I don't care. But prove to them if you're a true patriot, then go vote in person. Do not get sucked into this. Okay. So the blunder will go on. Now, there's a lot of consternation and, talking heads back and forth. I guess I'm one of them now about Sleepy Joe and the debates. Oh, Lordy. Oh. I have seen little visions in my head of what could happen. And oh my goodness. There are people who are saying that Trump's just going to go over after 10 minutes and pat Joe on the shoulder and go, "That's all right, Joe," and turn around and walk out of the debates. Now, whether that actually happens or not, but if it gets to be that stupid, I would say that would be his best, there was a joke many years ago when Pollock jokes were going around and, to the Poles, I thought I was Polish for a long time and we ain't. But anyway, it was a running joke in our family. But, there was the Americans and the Polish were playing football, and the Americans had scored so many touchdowns that they just decided to leave the field. It was like 100-0. Well, 4 plays later, and the Polish team scored. Let that sink in a minute. The U.S. team walked off the field, and 4 plays later, they scored. Just so. So we're looking at that type of, what did he just say? Right. So there are going to be people that are just going to walk off the field And Sleepy Joe, I think about this and I go, and 4 plays later, he's going to score, you know? So I'm like standing at the lectern. Now I've taught public speaking. I am a public speaker, have been. I placed 7th in the nation with the VICA program. When I went back to vocational school, I went to the nationals and placed 7th, which out of 50 states, being 7th ain't bad. Not to toot my own horn, but it's just like, you know, I placed 7th, and it was like from 5th, the 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th were like just 0.1 points away. So I damn near got 3rd place. But anyway, points wise. But the idea, though, that we should not get upset about this, honestly, we should look at this as a comedy of errors. Keep strong and try our best not to start a fight with our neighbors. If they're Democrats, and go, okay, prove to me that Joe's right. Prove to me that, you know, his son didn't go to the Ukraine. Prove to me this. Now, there are senators and other people. Now, the people in California, if they reelect Nancy Pelosi, then California deserves to fall off into the ocean. I'm sorry for those of you in California. But if you all elect that crazy woman again, I just saying something's wrong in, you know, in the neighborhood. And I would bail if I could, you know, but anyway, with all the fires and everything that's going on in California, to reelect Nancy Pelosi, oh, goodness gracious. Let somebody else be Speaker of the House for a while. Not that crazy woman. She can't speak very well either. Her thoughts are a little jumblified. And at 68 myself, if they can't speak better than I can, if they can't conduct themselves and how they, as an orator, they've had 47 years of being able to practice speaking to the people, and they I ain't voting for you no more. Whatever happened, you're not qualified. And it isn't anything about you can say, well, I don't know. It's not about the man himself. Just look at the way he bumbles and stumbles. You want him with the thumb on the trigger? No. I don't care how many advisors he's got. No. We should know better as a nation. Vote for the other guy if you don't like Trump, but don't vote. Yeah, anyway. Sounds like I'm being a little, but the warning signs are there. It's like, all right, so, but here's the thing, though. They're going to try to sell this gent in some way, shape, or form. Now, here's a caveat that I heard yesterday, and I went, what? Thought I'd throw this out there. There are those that think that just before the election, they're going to yank old Sleepy Joe and drop Hillary in and go, well, here she is. She was a senator and was, you know, and they're going to try to drop her in at the last minute. What? Now, that would be interesting. I mean, that would just be dang interesting. You know what I'm saying? So what these folks have planned, they're trying to talk about another rollout of the virus. Well, all the latest news and everything about it says, guess what? It was mostly the old people. It was mostly contained in here. And guess what? And some of the people who died of it didn't actually die of it. They died of complications. They could have died from any flu, not just this one. The numbers aren't adding up, and people are looking around going, you know what? We have been conned. We have been scared to death. We have been put upon each other and our own health, thinking that these masks were going, you know, so that's a blunder, but it's compounding itself because now the doctors who promoted this and the CDC, it's coming out. And some of these folks, honest to God, should suffer. They should suffer. They should go to jail. Maybe a couple of them should be nailed to the wall with a pneumatic air nailer. Because many people have suffered because of the fear and the chaos that they've done. So now the word is out that Trump is trying to clean up the deep state. Now, we've been listening to that for the last 4 years. Now, Bannon gets arrested. If you hadn't seen the news, Bannon gets arrested, which he was one of Trump's aides or whatever, by the post office SWAT team. What? That's right. He was arrested by the post office, has a SWAT team. He was arrested by the SWAT team from the United States Post Office. Since when does the post office have a SWAT team? Well, do a little bit of digging and you can Google it. And they've got these really creepy, we're going to chase these mail fraud people down with a machine gun. Well, they sent weed or drugs in the mail. So you're going to send in a SWAT team, break down their door, shoot at them with, AK-47s, a body helmet, and because they sent something in the mail. I was shocked, overwhelmed, and said, what? Several times. Check it out. And wait a minute, who gave them the right? Because the United States Post Office isn't really part of the federal government. It's sort of like a little private organization over here, right? So how do they get a SWAT team? Aren't the local police or the FBI or anybody like that? So we have to look at some of this stuff and go, wait a minute. The comedy of errors is starting to show up in all different shapes and sizes. It's like I spoke about, and I thought it was a hoax early on, but the CDC has had the COVID-19 in their possession for years, and they've tried to have a patent on it. The CDC, the people who run that joint and who've been handling this, who've been giving out information falsely and putting us all at risk with our own personal phlegm and stuff. Them folks need to be fired. They need to be pulled up in front of folks and sent to jail forever, on meat and potatoes and in a hole somewhere, because they have created all of America to be shut down. Airplanes, travel, restaurants, all of us have been affected by this. Yeah, Michelle, I saw this video clip, and Chris Ann Hall, and I'm going to see if I can copy the link and put it in the chat. This lady is a lawyer or an attorney, but she studies and has done constitutional law and it was their show yesterday or last Friday, and hang on here.
Are you interested in the specific gun laws for your state?
All right, let me do a Control-C and then Control-V. Okay, now that's the Chris Ann Hall show and JD, and they've also got a YouTube channel called.
If not, no worries. Simply skip this video. However, if you do want to know the specific gun laws for your state or any state, the USCCA has an awesome free resource. Simply click this video. It's going to take you directly.
Could you hear that? Yep, it's posted. Okay. There's something I might want y'all to listen to, and I can't show it or share the screen, but you could listen to what they have to say about it. But something else that came up, and so the link I just posted is to her channel, and it was their today's show. Okay, yesterday's show was a repeat, I think she said, from Friday, but it's got the post office thing in there and some other things. And you can scan through, but listen, and she's very intelligent. Her, and I don't know if JD's her spouse or not, but they do the shows together, and it's humorous, and it's eye opening. And she was bringing out the fact, for example, that the COVID-19 in the application for a patent, there has been speculation that it actually occurs naturally. So if it's natural, you can't patent it. If it's just natural compounds, now it could be the combination, but if it's just a natural occurring thing, you cannot patent it. So, but if it isn't natural and it is concocted, then these folks have been applying for a bacterial, a biological warfare. They should be charged with, guess what? Oh my God. It ain't just against the law, but the CDC has applied to the patent office to extend their application for a patent on the COVID-19. And I was like, wait a minute. And there's proof. This ain't hogwash, it's proof. And I was like, oh, holy crap. I really thought that was just a bunch of conspiracy nuts talking about it. Oh my goodness. And so they say the Chinese dropped it off. Are we sure about that? Now, it did occur over there and this and that, and China's responsible, but hang on. Hang on. If our own CDC has had this for years and years and years, wouldn't they have already had a vaccine? Honestly. They're trying to get a patent on something that's not patentable. And if it is, then they're trying to get a patent on a biological weapon. Let's think about this. Okay, for another thing, I've been watching the news, as we all have. Folks are bringing up, the wildfires in California are because the Russians have direct energy weapons. Now, Putin has, if anybody cares and watches both sides of the aisle, as it were, Putin has stated the Russians don't want America. They don't. There's twice as many of us as opposed to them, and they don't want us. They don't want the U.S. They want Russia. They like their home country. They like this and that. They don't want the United States. They really don't. Maybe Alaska, but they really don't want us. We're too much bother, and we're on the other side of the world from them. They really don't want to. And all this stuff about, oh, well, the Russians this and the Russians that. We've got people within our own government, and John F. Kennedy, his 1963 speech about all those covert activities and about all of those people and about the secret government. Remember that speech? And if you haven't, it's out there, it's available. I suggest you listen to it again. I remember the speech because I was 11 years old at the time. And I remember in high school, we listened to it because we were Catholic and JFK was Catholic. So we studied him and some of the things because it happened in 63 and in 66, I'm in high school. So, but we still had, in 7th and 8th grade, we still had sociology class and discussions and stuff like that. But his discussion about the secret government and the people behind it, and they have bigger things planned, and they're subversive. And, he talked about this in 63. If there's anybody alive that does not believe that this stuff is still going on, well, never mind. You're not going to get it until you get slapped in the face, literally, possibly with something. Now, so the craziness is going to go on. So if we think in any way, shape, or form that these people are just going to stop what they're doing, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Now, what they're going to pull next, I don't know. But if you look back in history, and just go back as far as the 2000 election, there's been other elections, though, that they've messed with. You know, there was some considerable consternation and questioning about whether or not JFK actually won that election in 59 for 60, and that it might have actually should have gone to, well, I'm not a crook, you know. So, but here's the thing. We know this is going to get interesting. We know they're going to pull some stuff. What they're going to do, look back in history, because one of the things that makes them crazy is they keep trying the same damn thing over and over and over and again, expecting a different result. And they have pulled it on us many times. Now, this pandemic thing and everything and locking everybody down, that's a new one. So if you know, what are they going to pull next? I don't know. But there are those apocalyptic type people and who are like, oh my God, it's going to happen this time. Well, you know, we're coming up on the autumnal equinox just before my birthday. I'm once a year I get to fool around, right, about my birthday. I made it another year. My God, oh my God, I got two more weeks before I'm there. But anyway, but the idea though that, oh my God, it's the equinox. Now we are in an Earth wobble. I went outside and looked at Mars, and Mars had been straight overhead, and now it's cocked off to one side. And I went, what? And the moon was way the hell over yonder. And so I just, you know, okie dokie, right? Got to work tomorrow night, everyone. Thank you, Robert V. Oh, happy birthday. Thank you. Oh, Divine Living Man. How are you doing? Lady Spitfire. Fire won't even kill kudzu till always grow back. It was a gift from China, I believe. Actually, some of the kudzu came from Africa. But anyway, and you can eat kudzu. And there are a lot of things you can do with kudzu. Kudzu is very... I knew a person that actually wrote a book about kudzu and the things that you could do. By Jamie Hiller Rubis. Next, they're burning Cali, the 5th biggest economy in the world, while they destroy the world's food supply. Stay alert, be prepared, practical, stay in love. Absolutely. Thank you. And that's just about what I was going to say. Regardless of whether or not you think the world is coming to an end, there are a lot of stuff that's changed. And the burning of California and the southern, the whatever that valley is, I want to say it's San Bernardino or whatever. I'm probably wrong. Anyway, the big valley where they grow all this stuff. I was surprised when I rode across California into Sacramento, which is a nice country up there, I got to say, of the amount of pecan trees they had there. I mean, everywhere there were pecan trees, you know, and I thought Georgia was supposed to be the nut state, but, you know, it seems that California grows most of the almonds, and they grow a lot of this and a lot of that. And so it's like, So anyway, Colquitt County here where I live is an agricultural county, big time. And there's a lot of food that's grown in this county. I personally am not too worried about being able to find food because there are all these farmers around here and they're the produce and so forth. Doesn't mean that it can't happen and won't happen. We'll see. But for folks who are in big cities that don't have the rural connection to the farmers market, you may be in trouble. And now let me give you this tidbit of advice or information advice. Well, people say stock up on black beans and rice. There's some beans and rice. Let me tell you, what do beans do to you? Make you fart. Beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. Salenza, beans at every meal. Bing, Blazing Saddles, right? So, oh my God, and that's offensive. You know, oh my God. One of the funniest, you know, Westerns ever put out there, but Blazing Saddles, and they're like, they want to censor Blazing Saddle because the black guy takes the gun and says, I'm going to shoot this nigga, you know? Oh my God, you know. one of the funniest shows. So they want to censor Blazing Saddles, you know. Anyway, so so this idea though, but I've got some canned goods that I've had for 5 or 6 years now. Now, some of them have gone bad, and it's mostly because I didn't take care of them right. And they could have be older than that. I'm just saying that I know I've had them for 5 years. But some of these cans are absolutely fine. And I open one every once in a while. I've got certain cans of a particular thing I like, a Progresso minestrone thingy anyway. And there's another thing that's got field peas and beans and corn in it, you know. Oh, and okra. That's what it is. It's okra. And so I got to get my share of okra. But the idea, though, that some of these cans are 5, 6, 7 years old. And so I open one, I go, ain't nothing wrong with this. So people say, well, you shouldn't have a can that's over so much. Well, listen, if you're starving and if you can't afford to buy all this prepared, freeze-dried stuff, that I have to say, I had some of it that went bad. Something nicked with the package. I mean, it was a small hole, but everything inside it was ruined. And you can tell when a can goes bad. So my point to this is, you can just buy a few extra cans of something. Now, I would suggest lentils, which are really easy to cook. Find something that, like beef jerky, for example. Buy up some beef jerky if you can on sale or whatever. Stay away from hot stuff, because guess what? If we go into a situation where food is going to get scarce, remember what happened with the toilet paper? What if that scenario were to come around again, but you're trying to survive and you're eating beans and rice every day, so you're pooting more, your bowels are going to be upset because, you know, and so it's like, well, beans and rice, that'll get, yes, it will get you by, but is that the best choice of what you should eat? You know what I'm saying? So I should do another video, you know, just talking about how you can survive on the cheap. Now, I got 50 pounds of rice between this bag and that bag and over here and over there, and I've got different kinds of beans. I've probably got probably at least 20 pounds of beans total. But here's the thing: does anybody know how to flavor those beans? What would you use? Well, you know, a lot of folks around here use smoked ham hock, all right, or beef, you know, but a smoked ham hock, just one, tossed in with a pot of beans. So what you can get is find something that's dry. Now you can get potted meat, and you say, well, I don't really like potted meat. Yeah, but you chop a couple of little, you know, Vienna sausages up and toss them in a stew to give it, you know, some beans to give it a little bit of extra flavor, you know. Get yourself plant you some garlic somewhere around so you can. Now I've got garlic that grows around my house. And as far as fresh garlic is concerned, digging up the bulbs, well, what you can do is you can snip the leaves off of the garlic and chop them up like chives. And they're really good for you, and the bulb will produce another stalk. Once you dig that bulb up, that's it for the garlic. But if you take the stalk off, and you can take one from this one and that one and this one and that one and this one, you can have garlic all the time until the plant goes dormant. But anyway, so there are a lot of things that we can do, but you know, the naysayer, oh my God, it's apocalyptic. Well, to some folks it might be. We need to understand. Oh, there was a couple of weird earthquakes. One in New Jersey, I think, today, and I can't remember. There was one a day or two ago that was down in Texas or something. Pretty good size one. So, are things moving on the earth and things changing? Oh yeah. It's always going to happen. We live on top of this planet. So let's not worry about it. Let's do our best to, you know, stay prepared. But we've already been warned with the mask and the lockdown. Shouldn't we consider that in the next 2 or 3 months, some of these crazy people are going to try to drive us even more insane? So not to speculate apocalyptic things, but if you're wasting money on potato chips and things, and I love potato chips and dip, just saying. But maybe I better buy a couple of extra cans of something. You know, here's an example. petite diced tomatoes in a can. Now I can open up a can of tomatoes and drain them and use those tomatoes like fresh tomatoes. I tried it, I guess about a month or so ago, and I was making a taco burrito, soft taco thing, and I had chopped up some of this, and I had some lettuce, and I had some other stuff, and I was like, man, I need some tomatoes. So I looked down in my cabinet there, and I got these, diced petite tomatoes, and I went, what the hell, right? I dug them out of the can, let them drain, and put them in there. Oh my God, it was like I was eating fresh tomatoes. I was so surprised. So it's like, well, you can't have fresh tomatoes all the time because of this or that, travel, so forth. But you can get some canned diced tomatoes or whole tomatoes if you want. But the diced tomatoes I've used in the stew I cooked the other night, which me and the dog and the cats absolutely love. And it was just with some potatoes, some baby carrots, and this, and a little bit of stew meat that I'd bought. And I ate 3 days off of that. Now those of you say, well, I can't eat a stew for 3 days in a row. If something goes wrong, then you need to practice that. For people who are used to 3 meals a day, my suggestion is you learn how to eat 1 meal a day and some snacks in between. Why? Well, because if the infrastructure and stuff goes down, you can conserve a lot more food. 1 12-ounce can of food a day, plus, some bread or something, or, do you have any flour? Is it put up? Do weevils get in it? Would you throw flour out if it had weevils in it? Or would you just shake the weevils out and cook it anyway? The pioneers in the day, they used to just dig them out, shuffle them out, and bake anyway. And people nowadays throw stuff out. There's a weevil in it. Yeah, it was probably in it from the factory. Oh my God, we're all going to die. It's a weevil. It ate the wheat. It is a weevil. Yeah, say that a couple times in a row. But anyway, so cook it in with the bread. It'll make it a little crunchy, Don't look, Ethel, there's weevils in the flour. We're going to make some biscuits. So have some things if you absolutely have to. Now, for those of us who live in the country, I just don't think it's going to be as bad as those folks that live in the city. And if you live in a city, take extra precautions. And don't let people know you got it. But find something other than, peas or something like that. I get a combination. So I've got... it's okra, tomatoes, and corn or something, or beans. And then there are, 2 or 3 different type of vegetables in 1 can. Now there's those mixed vegetables with carrots and peas. I hate them, but it's the consistency, I think. But anyway, the other types of beans and other things, I've had some canned carrots that I opened recently just to see if they were any good. And after 5 or 6 years, the carrots were still crunchy inside the water and everything. So do you have to can your own? Do you have to buy from somebody? Do you have to go to prepare? The answer, quite simply, is no. But pick something that if you have to eat it for 3 or 4 days in a row, you'll be okay with it. Now, I just don't worry about it. As long as I got a good meal in my stomach, it's warm and it tastes good, I'm good with it. I don't care. Well, but I ate that 3 days in a row. So think about the fact that it cost me about the meat cost about $5. So, okay, it cost me about $10 maybe for this big pot of stew. Okay, big pot of stew, Me and the dog and the cats had off of it for 3 days. And I had several bowls. It's not like I just had like 1 bowl. I had several bowls and added some cheese. And so, but the idea though, that is, I'm more concerned about, does it taste good? Is it healthy for me? Guess what? $10, less than $10, we all ate off of 1 meal that I prepared. Now I'm, single, but the idea though, that you can survive. I can survive. You can survive. But if you've got to have 3 meals a day in a tough situation, and that means you're going to have to poo 3 times because you ate those meals. So you're going to be using more resources if you don't have electricity. They're saying they're going to blast an EMP between now and October, I think October 13th. There's something about the middle of October, the October surprise. The white hats are saying that the other side's going to, the black hats are going to do an EMP because it was planned. It's been planned all along. And in order to upset the election. And it's really uncanny, some of this. These were reports that came out. There was a group that I can't remember at the moment that did a study for the Clinton campaign 4 years ago. And in that, they took every scenario, and one of them was an EMP strike. Would people not come out to vote? Or would they change their vote if there was an EMP strike on? And I was like, what? So there are a lot of suggestions that these crazy people are going to try all kinds of nifty stuff between now and then. Now, I'm not trying to be a harbinger of bad things, but it only takes a couple of idiots to do something stupid. You know what I'm saying? And if they sort of have this mentality all along, well, what if we don't want the other guy to win? We're going to win this despite all cost. And think about the last 4 years and trying to impeach Trump since the day he got into office. You got to say, wait a minute, have these people changed their modus operandi? No, they still want the same thing. And they have already proven they'll do any damn thing they can to try to achieve their goal. Now, with that said, I'm not saying you should vote for Trump, but vote for the other guy. If everybody voted for an independent versus the Democrat and said, no, I'm not voting Democratic, like me, used to be a Democrat, I'm going to vote for this independent guy. And hey, all you Democrats, let's vote for this guy or gal, depending on, there's the Green Party and the this party. Okay, vote for one of them. Change your votes. So it's like, well, I don't like Biden either. And I don't like this person. Well, okay, so get all your friends together and go, I'm not voting for creepy Joe, but I don't like Trump. Fine. Then vote for one of the other candidates because they are there. So all of a sudden, this third candidate, much like a Ross Perot, would emerge from the dust and prove to the Democrats, that's what we think of you. And you're and your nonsense, right? So back in the day, I remember politics. And back in the day, they used to fight on the floor. We want this person to be and we're from the state of such and such. No, they had all this picked out a long time ago. Nobody, at one time I thought Bernie Sanders had an actual chance. And then he blew it last election. Then he ran again. Why? To get all that campaign money? What for what recognition? People sent him money. There's still people who are supporting Bernie Sanders. For what? Now, if they took Creepy Joe out and put Bernie in, now there would be some difference. Could that happen? Well, if they, figure out that, Sleepy Joe is actually incompetent, then maybe, and maybe too many people see that he's incompetent and go, wait a minute, something's wrong with this guy. He's got weird vein marks where they've been hitting him. Gerald Celente was like, he's not there anymore. That's not the same Joe Biden of 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or, but that ain't him. They're pumping him full of something. And, Gerald Celente, he's been around. He's a New Yorker for sure, but he's on Greg Hunter, which both have YouTube. I mean, I don't know if Gerald has a YouTube, but he's got the Trends Journal and all these things, and he's been more right. He's like got a 98% correct record for the things that he's predicted with his trends and journals. And sometimes he's been surprised and it come up or down more or higher or lower than he expected. But And he you know, he's got a long list of, and he's a peaceable man. He's trying to stop, you know, murder and mayhem around the world. They hold peace demonstrations through his organization. So, but you know, when I listen to him and him being in New York and living up there, and it's like Cuomo, oh, this Cuomo guy, the only reason he's, you know, he is who he is because of his father, you know, and it's like, but he's an idiot, he's a dunce, and it's like, well, okay, that's a New Yorker's point of view, which is a good one. But after watching Gerald for many, 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 many years and listening to him and watching the trends and going, he was right about that again. Well, he was right about that one. He was right about that one over there. So do you listen to some of these people? They've got insight. They pay attention to stuff, you know? So it's like, and Gerald was one of these who said just the other day on an interview with Greg Hunter on YouTube channel, and he's like, no, these folks are going to pull every trick out of the bag and then some. But how are they going to do it? All we got to do is look at the dirty tricks they've already pulled in the background, because some of them work. Woo, mail-in ballots, perfect opportunity to just upset the election and freeze it up and keep everybody in chaos and turmoil. And oh, happy holidays, everybody, right? So, you know, we got to take things into consideration and listen to some of the other folks who have been around and who have been not necessarily personally attached with government, but that's been a government watchdog, a trends person, blah, blah, you know, these folks that have been, they're not really partners with the government. Anyway, and Gerald, if I said, well, Gerald was part of the government, no, and he's not. But I mean, he keeps an eye on the Trade Commission and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, so the trends in the journals and this and that. Oh, well, okay, everybody, spend your money and buy some gold. Why? You can't eat it. And if you took it to the dollar store, you couldn't sell it. And if you had gold coins or whatever, it ain't going to matter. Why? Because no one except jewelry stores or those type of people can weigh it and give you an exchange. So what if the exchanges are down? It is now just a hunk of metal, period. You can't eat it. You try to give it away. Well, yeah, I got some gold. Yeah, well, I just made some biscuits, but you know, I'll give you a gold piece for a biscuit. That's in the days of when the miners were out in Alaska and California and such. You know, they couldn't get, you know, home cooked meals. And so the people who were providing kitchens and stuff, they're the ones that made the money, because the miners couldn't get it. And they were like, well, it's going to cost you a gold piece. What? Well, you want this biscuit or not? There's somebody over there in line that's got a gold piece. And they're willing to, they're willing to give it to me for this here biscuit. So, but they couldn't eat the gold. So, and the silver market. So, well, we have to have something that's worth something. How about tools? How about a shovel and an axe? How about, how about you want to invest in something? If everything goes to crap, go out and buy a decent bow and arrow and some arrows. Why? Well, you can always make arrows, get yourself a decent bow, and you can protect yourself with it. And I've told people this before, but an arrow can and will penetrate a Kevlar vest, where a 45 caliber bullet will not. Okay? Think about it. And it's like, so what should I invest in? Something that you can make more arrows, or that you could do this or do that, or buy a little extra food, But if you think that beans and rice is the only thing that's going to get you by, you're not thinking straight. Yes, it can, and okay, but modify that. Rice and something else. Maybe it's just noodles. Maybe it's some spaghetti noodles. Maybe you can get a whole great big case of spaghetti, and you can cut it up into pieces and boil it. You can stir fry it and make little, noodles with it. You can mix it with this and that and the other thing. and you know, and give you that time, you know. So maybe beans and rice isn't the only thing, but there are lots of stuff that will keep, and you should vary your diet. And I would suggest in the next month or so, just in case these people get more too crazy than they already are, buy you a couple extra cans of something, just in case. And learn how to eat on less per day. You're not going to die. If that were the case, I'd been dead years ago, because I basically only eat one good meal a day, and sometimes not even that. Sometimes I just eat a small thing here and a small thing there. I eat when I'm hungry. Now, I used to be 250 pounds and I was hungry all the time, but now I'm a healthy weight. I'm not overweight and I'm not underweight. Um, so, you know, if eating 3 meals a day was the prerequisite, yeah, that's right. If prerequisite for you know, I taught a dog a pussycat, you know, a putty cat. Um, but if 3 meals a day is is your scale of whether or not you're healthy, I would say, well, then I've lost that, because I don't eat 3 meals a day. Now, I may eat little pieces of something through the day, um, but I ain't starving. I'm not dead yet. I'm as healthy as I can be at 68, I guess. And, you know, I'm only taking aspirin or ibuprofen and Benadryl for any type of medication. And of course, I've got my cannabinol type materials. But other than that, you know, I'm not on anything or doing anything other than taking vitamins and eating light and trying to stay healthy. So, but anyway, mindset, you know, stay out of the fear and have a little something extra. Is it money? Money ain't going to get you nothing. If the lights go out, you're going to have to barter, you know? I mean, seriously. But back when the hurricane came through, what I guess 2 years ago now, that devastated this area, you know, there were people who just were literally were emptying their piggy banks. And that's how I got this silver certificate dollar that I found that the mice had eaten the corner off of the damn thing. But this is a real silver certificate. And you're supposed to be able to trade this thing in for silver. And even with the, you know, the mice eating the corners off of this, it's still a dollar bill. But to the point, though, people went into their piggy banks because they couldn't use their ATM cards. They couldn't use this or that. And I'm not sure. Let's see. Seeds are a good call, but they don't last for very long. Replenish every year. Yeah. Now I've got seeds from a couple of years ago, but if you don't have the necessity to be able to grow them, and if you grow lettuce in the quickest kind, it's going to take you 30 days. And, you know, so anything you plant is going to take 30, 60, or 90 days before you can eat it. And that's if the bugs don't get it and you got enough water to feed it and you got fertilizer and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, just because of which having seeds is great, but man, if they won't grow, or you can't do that. A very helpful Lady Spitfire says a very helpful plant from what the lady was telling me. She had many, many plants. Holy basil has a peculiar smell. Muscadines. Yeah, I had a good crop of muscadines here this year. Surprised me. A couple of new vines and they put out muscadines. And down here in the South, they call them bulluses. And they're big purple grapes that grow wild. But anyway, longbows won the French wars for the British and worked where muskets would not, against knights in armor. Just saying, you know, a bow and arrow, a bow, because you can make arrows, you know. But if you got a gun and you run out of ammo, and it's really hard to make gunpowder. I looked into it, and the gun ain't worth nothing. Now, an air rifle that you pump up, I've got 2,000 rounds upstairs of 22 pellets for my Benjamin air rifle. Now, the bad news is you got to pump it up. But the thing is if you aim it just right, you can hurt somebody real bad. And it's really good for small game. They've got some air rifles out there now that are 45 and 50 caliber, and they're dropping, big game with these things. I'm like, what? An air gun? Yeah. So, but anyway, muscadine, like a grape, kind of. It is a grape. Yep, and they're good. Hey, Michelle. Hi, G Ant, Project Sky Falls, Lady Spitfire, howdy. G Ant, I'm a vegetarian and eat one meal a day and I weigh 198 pounds of mostly muscle and do construction all day. I used to be a vegetarian. In fact, I'm mostly a vegetarian, but I've realized that in my own life, I mean, I went years as a vegetarian. I don't mean but mostly what I eat now are vegetables or potatoes or stews or something. But I throw the meat in. Now, since I've gotten Duggar, I've bought more meat in the last 3 months than I have in the last 3 years, because dogs need a bone to chew on, right? So I buy some meat, and T-bone steak. He shares, I share. He gets most of it. But talking about food, yeah, eat healthy and not a lot. It's true, Oh, Lady Spitfire says, in God, it won't have "In God We Trust" on the back. Let me take a look. Now, it does still have the Illuminati symbol. See there? And then on this side, it's got the eagle. I know it's really dark. Let me get out my trusty magnifying glass. Ooh, that's interesting. Hi there, everybody. I got my eye on you. I can't read this down here on the bottom. Where is that? Oh, of the United States. Yeah, it's got a Washington D.C. It's got a strange. It's series 1935E, and I don't think that was the year that it was made. This certificate is legal tender for all debts, public and private. $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand is what it says right underneath the $1 there. Anyway, I did not see "In God We Trust." But to the point. So, but that's the real deal there. Anyway. But so, back to, the Blunder games. They're going to try all kinds of stuff. And I'm hoping that the stupid, whoever they are, will stumble and fall so badly that they're going to show their own hand. And I'm hoping, because I keep praying every day, that folks will wake up and see what's going on and go, you know what, that was a little weird. Creepy Joe over there doing what? And what about this senator over here? What about this representative? What about Nancy Pelosi? Do any of us want that crazy woman back? Just saying. And there are some other people in other states and that are making, statements and accusations. For example, I've been back through my history and talked with my real father and all those, and that the grandmother, great grandmother, and great great grandmother were all of Cherokee descent. But I don't go around saying that I'm a Native American. I've got Native American ties. I've probably got as much of that as anything else, but I'm not trying to walk around going, much like Miss Pocahontas, the lady who's like, oh, I'm Native American, blah, blah, blah. I probably got more than her, but I for the respect of the nations, I don't know for how much. I'm not going to claim being Native American, although I probably could. Not the point. In fact, I did on the census this last time. It said, "Who are you?" And I said, "Native American," because I was born in America, and I'm a native. I'm not white or Anglo or something. No, I'm of mixed heritage. No, I'm a native of America. Bingo. That's who I am. There you go. And I thought, and that's not even lying, but if they were to trace my lineage and so forth, I'd probably show up as having Native American blood. But to the point, 426 here in Northwest Europe. I got woke up by cats. Happy to be here. And I'm happy that you're here, by Jamie Hiller. Rubus. Candy Apple. Hi, how are you? Migraine here. I'm out. Love y'all. Sorry about that. I've been fighting off of headaches too the last few days. Lady Spitfire in the regular place at top on the back. Yeah, we all hope you feel better, Teresa. I'm Hertz 57. Heinz 57, mostly Norman and Viking. Yeah, you folks are great. Let me tell you them. Yeah. And last night we had Marie from Australia was on with us after not seeing her for a while. And let's all send out another prayer for Yuha, her brother who got arrested for hoisting a sovereignty flag. And, because all of us are in that same boat right now. But anyway, hey, Hawkeye, everyone listening, with love, take care of Mom. Okay. Love you, Candy Apple. And, and glad that you are taking care of your mother, because there are so many children. My good friend, we sort of have the same issue. We haven't seen our sons in years, and they just won't call, write, or otherwise acknowledge us. And it's like, were we really that bad? And it's not like we're asking them to move in or for us to move in with them to take care of us or anything. But, it's like, wow. So you think that you have the support of your children or your family, and then you find out later on that your family don't give two squats about you, and you go, well, I don't know what I did wrong, but obviously, and so if I was dying and in the hospital, he wouldn't come to see me. So it's like, well, there you go. I guess I'll die by myself, which I know I'm not by myself, but anyway, enough of the dying thing. I'm more worried about, hey, let's have a good time living here. But so I'm going to wrap this up. I spent more time than I had originally thought, but that's usually the case with me. But it's gives you all a chance to come in and join with us. I station at 74. Yeah, you're an oldie goldie too, ain't you, Zed? I need my beauty sleep. Stay cool and see everyone next time. Thank you, Zed. Stay healthy, okay? We love you. And I'm going to end this too as well because, it's 11:30 here. And it was just supposed to be a little bit of a ha 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 ha. And I got some more updates coming. I got some poetry, and I'm going to do some rhyming and even maybe a song or two. But so this is sort of, the Blunder Games, part 1. You know, let's see how this turns out. So prayers to Teresa for her headache. Prayers to Yuha for, you know, his political statements, and they let him out of prison down in Australia. And there's a lot of folks that are in prison here in the United States that should be let out. And you know, for those folks who don't understand some of the things that Trump's trying to do and what the Democrats have done, when they privatized the um, the jail system, it never should have went private. It never, ever, ever should have went private. Jails should not be, they should not be for profit. That's just all there is to it. And the way they treat the prisoners and the way that's handled and so forth, is just appalling. And it needs to be taken out of the private sector and handled back in with the communities or states or whatever. That was a bad idea, and the Clintons and folks went along with this, and Trump's trying to get it back. Now, I've been in the prison system, and some of my friends, and privatization of the prison system is ludicrously wrong. We need to put it back under government control, because as soon as we let the private folks care for it, abuse happens, this happens, that happens, and there's, I mean, it's bad enough to be in prison, let alone to be mistreated while you're there. But somebody say, well, you deserve it. No. Being locked up is bad enough, but to be mistreated and treated like an animal while you're locked up, no. Sorry, but you should. Their prisoners should have rights. You should be able to have a pencil and paper, and not every 3 or 4 days have the guards come in and tear your shit up and dump it out on the floor and take away what little bit that you possess. I've seen it happen time and time and time again when I was in. They just go into a cell block and take everything out. And if you've written letters to your loved ones or you're in all of it gets confiscated. You don't get to keep anything. You get, they have even gone so far as to take underwear and socks. Okay. So they leave you with your mattress, a pillow, and your bed sheet, and that's it. So if you had underwear and socks, they took it away. You're going to have to buy new. And for me, I didn't have any money. So if they took my underwear and socks, I didn't have any underwear or socks. You know, and I had to wear the shoes down in the kitchen without socks on. And, you know, I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get a damn pair of socks. But and it's doable without having to lose your virginity or anything like that. But the idea, though, that you know, there are so many things that people want to bitch and complain about Trump, and there are things that I see that are like not really big issues, but I say, right on, brother. We need to take this control back. It should have never went to the private sector. You don't make money off of prisons. You just don't do that. You don't make money off of other people suffering. If, you know, somebody wrote a bad check and you get 2 years in prison, that doesn't mean you should go to solitary confinement. Doesn't mean you should have to do this or that or be subjected to, you know, unusual, you know, punishment, especially, well, not just women, but, you know, men are abused, you know, in prisons. So, and it's like with no oversight in the private sector, and it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Anyway, so I'm for him on that, on prison reform. Bring it back, you know, take it out of the private sector. And, you know, some of these sentences for some of these crimes are ludicrously too long. You know, if you're charged with a drug crime, you should have to do public service, not be in jail. You should go home, work, and then on Saturdays, then you do public service. And you, if you're were involved in something really big time, well, then maybe some of these guys, they let on work release during the week and then they go back to prison on the weekends. There are lots of ways that we can deal with people who have committed crimes. But instead of throwing them in jail and locking them up, and they should be locked up, wait until you get something happen. And they say, well, you should be locked up and thrown away forever. You know, and then you get there and you go, wait a minute, this is cruel and unusual punishment. 6 months in the slammer feels like years. And you say, well, you know, you should get 10 years. For what? Did you kill somebody, rape somebody, maim them, hurt them? No. Then if you stole something, then should you be in prison for 20 years for stealing something? Did you steal somebody's heart? I mean, really, did you reach in and pull somebody? Well, then that's murder. No, but you stole something. Okay. Or you know, okay. But 20 years for something like that? I mean, I was facing 20 years is the reason I bring that up. 20 years for possession of drugs? 20 years for possession of drugs? Well, it was narcotics. So, but 20 years? You know, I mean, this is like grams of drugs, not pounds or ounces, but grams. I mean, you know, like the weight of 2 cigarettes kind of thing, you know? So, but the idea, though, that how we look at criminals, well, you broke the law, you're a criminal, you're a felon. I'm a felon multiple times because they made it that way. If possession of marijuana, well, it was over an ounce, so that's a felony in the state of Georgia. Well, it was just over an ounce, but that doesn't matter. It was over. So, you know, we're charging you with felony possession. Okay. And, you know, I got 5 years probation and paid big fines, and they didn't want me in jail because of my head trauma and the seizures I have. I had a little spot of a seizure earlier tonight, knock on wood. And, but anyway, so, but whether or not, you know, this is another blunder. So they're going to try to say, well, but, you know, Trump wants to let people out of jail. Well, if the punishment is really a little over the hill on certain things, and we're paying for people to be in jail who are not being productive, who aren't, you know, paying child support or taking care of families or stuff, if we could put them back to work and let them work off their debt to society, it'd be a lot better than them sitting and rotting in a cell that we're going to pay somebody else to make money off of them. You know, this is insanity. We got to think differently. Now, violent crimes, get them off, put them in jail, do whatever. But simple crimes, oh, stop it. You know, jail, 20 years for 2 grams of coke. I mean, yeah, 2 grams of coke and not an ounce, a gram. And 4 Quaaludes, you know, what? Yeah, he had Quaaludes on him. Yeah, and they were the real 714s too. But, oh, we're going to send him to jail because he had narcotics. These folks should be put back. If you stole for some reason, if you embezzled money or something, you need to be retrained. You need to be put into a program, some type of program. You know, let's pay for people to help people to stop being kleptomaniacs and stop stealing. You know, do they actually need it? Well, then give them a job. You know, give them fair housing. Give them, you know. So I've met people who were thieves because they couldn't make enough money. They thought they had to steal in order for them and their family to make ends meet. And in some cases they were true. But you know, to condemn somebody because they want to revamp something now, you know, oh, he's going to let a bunch of people out. Dignity. Good word, Michelle. Actually, Michelle, humans are disposable. That's one of the things that I found out. When you get into the system and once they go, bang, you know, guilty, you're stuck. You're theirs. Lock, stock, and barrel. And you can complain to the warden or the commissioner or whatever, and they're just going to go, but you're in jail. You're a criminal. You have been sentenced. There you go. That's the answer. But they mistreated me, so you're in jail. You're a despot, you know. You're a criminal. You're a felon. What was your crime? I didn't pay all my child support. What? Yeah, I know a guy that got thrown in jail with a felony charge because his back child support had went over a certain amount, and what was then a misdemeanor now became a felony. You know, the system's crazy. GN, I was born and raised in the Silicon Valley. Wife is black Mexican mixed with 2 mixed children. Environmental science, 10 years study. The first person that I ever voted for was Donald Trump. Good for you. Do you regret it? The war is at all levels, says Fox. That is so correct. Lady Spitfire, my uncle spent over 20 years for drug charges. Died in there. That's a shame. Paraphernalia, you get you possession charge. Yes, it does. Michelle, I mean, to me, humans are not disposable. I agree with you, but if you get in the system and to the people, see, the police look at everybody as a potential suspect. They don't look at you and go, well, there's a good, honest to God American, and, a good upstanding citizen. No, they look at you as you go by and they go, let's see, is their tag right? Did they pay their, they got a tail light out, so it's like everyone is a potential suspect to the police. Think about it. Because if they just had there and went, oh, it'd be like Barney Fife, hey, Joyce, debtor prison, blacks lost citizens are not free men. Yep. And it's not just, I know more white guys in jail. And one of them I've worked with at an aircraft plant here in Moultrie. And he got drunk, got tossed in the can overnight or over the weekend. And nobody would put up his bail because he'd been like once a month he was getting tossed in there for being drunk and disorderly and public drunk kind of thing. So they let him sit in there. But when he got out, he picked him up on Friday and they let him out on Monday. But the judge fined him. So he took the money that was for his child support to pay his get out of jail card, right? Well, because he missed a payment on his child support, by the end of the week, he was thrown back in jail for 2 weeks now for missing the payment on his child support. So in order to go back to work, because he couldn't find anybody to post him out, which it was his own dumbass. But so what was supposed to be a weekend in to sleep off a drunk ended up being he couldn't pay his child support. Then he got out. Then because I took his job over, he didn't get paid for 2 weeks. Now he'd been working for BD Mall for a long time. So BD was like, yeah, come on back to work. But it took him a week or 10 days before he could get a paycheck. So now he's behind again. So they pick him up for not paying his child support. So, now it was his own dumb mistake that he got drunk and this started this thing. But he couldn't get out of the rift. He had to go borrow money to catch his stuff up. And then he got so pissed off, they got drunk again and threw his ass back in jail and it went. And the whole scenario started all over again. A white guy, and not really stupid, but, you get frustrated with the situation you're in. You go like, well, man, I haven't really got drunk in 3 weeks. So what do? You let off a little bit of steam and the first thing you know, he gets caught. Well, he put himself in the position. But the point is, because of this, the county makes a shitload of money off of all these poor people. So he lost his house because he couldn't pay his rent because now he's paid the judge. Now he's paid this judge. He's paid the fine for being in jail and he's lost work and he has to pay the child support. So he ain't got a chance in hell working at $6, $7 an hour, which was decent money back then. He just ended up going to jail because he couldn't keep up with any of it. And so it's like, well, there you go. But once they get you, man, I swear to God, trying to get out from under it. Now, I've been on probation twice. I've made it through both, but it was through my own. I ain't drinking. I'm not going to get myself in trouble. If I want to get high, I'm going down on the river and dare somebody to come find me because I ain't going to get caught. You know, they're going to have to come find me. But at the same time, I was too paranoid. I'm like, no, I'm not going back to jail. But anyway, but this idea though that there's so much corruption going on, and within the judges system, within the you know the good old boys, now I ain't gonna talk about bad about them good old boys, because a couple of them good old boy attorneys got me off from having to serve some really big time time. So, but at the same time, these folks are practical. They go, you're going to take this old guy here that's barely over an ounce of weed, and you're going to throw him in prison. Well, you know, he has to have this medication and that Do you know how much it's going to cost you once a month? He's going to have to go to the doctor. He's going to have special treatment. He's going to have medicine 3 times a day. And they looked at him and went, no, let's give him 5 years probation. Ding, go home. And that's what happened. Lady Spitfire says, I had a brain injury for law enforcement tagged onto my fine. Gee, many Christmas. Yeah, they make the prisoners pay for the jail. Gordon County, Georgia. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on. And, you know, of course, my fine that I had to pay was one thing, but then I had to pay every time I went to see my probation officer. I had to pay the probation officer, the probation office. So there was my fine, and then there was the probation fee. So the county didn't have to pay for the probation officer. They were making money. So I'd go in and I'd say, here I am for my thing. And he'd go, all right, you showed up, go home. Well, after 5 years, you know. And but the thing is that he actually let me off early, a year early, because he's like, I don't have time for you. You show up. You're not in trouble. I got all these other clowns that I'll have to chase down. Here, I've asked the judge to let you off 1 year early, and he signed it. Go home. Thank you very much. But it wasn't until after I paid my fine and after I made all of my probation charges were paid for, then they let me off a year early. I still served 4 years physically, but it was a 5-year probation. But anyway, how did we get on this subject, right? By Jamie, mostly corporate policy enforcement agents is right. Legalities have nothing to do with their lawful oath of office. Don't get me started. Yes, there you go. And a lot of these folks take it way out of line. $32 a month, Lady Spitfire sends. Yeah, I think mine, and this has been 20 years ago, right? Or actually more, but I think it was about $30 or $35 a month here in Colquitt County, plus paying off my fine and paying off the attorney and all that other kind of stuff too. But anyway, I've already got started on this. But here's the thing though, you know, one of the things that pissed me off about the Democrats was they were pushing this thing about more prison, more of this and more of that. I'm going, you know, aren't the Republicans supposed to be doing that? Aren't the Democrats supposed to be the guys that are like, hey, that's too much jail time for that guy? No, they pass laws to make it even tougher. And I'm like, wait a minute. Send some of these people to jail. And if they say, well, you know, 10 years for a drug crime. Spend 6 months in there and go, I think 10 years is too much. You know, mandatory sentences. 3 times you're out. Who put that in there? The Clintons, the Democrats. And some of this stuff just needs to go. Okay, Lady Spitfire. I'm off now. Got my probation release papers on 420. Yahoo! Good for you too. All right, my friends. There'll be another update with some other, maybe a little bit of songs and some hilarity attached with the Blunder games, part 2. So stay tuned. I love you all. I do. Thank you for your participation and for hanging out. Candy Apple. Yes, it is about money, but it's also about power. The people in this power, well, we should have control over these people. It's this control. I mean, you hear them talking about, did you get control of that prisoner? You know, but what did he do? Well, he wasn't walking fast enough. So, well, he was dragging his feet. So you beat him, right? Yeah, we taught him a lesson, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Yep, that's actually happened. And it's probably still happening. And so the only way a prisoner's got to like fighting back is to like go slow or, you know, or drop their plate or something, or, you know, and then depending on the guard, I mean, they beat the living snot out of this guy when I was in the Hillsborough County Jail. But this guy, he was like 320, and he oh my God, he was built weightlifter. His arms were bigger than both of my legs. Okay. And he had gotten permission from the chaplain and from the warden to have paper and pencil to write. He was in solitary. So for beating up a guard, right? So they'd agreed that he'd been 3 or 4 months with nothing, and he'd been calm and good and everything. So this one weekend, the sheriff's department, once a month, each sheriff deputy has to go to the jail at least one day and help out with visiting, right? With visiting hours on the weekends. So, so these guys come in there and see him with a paper and pencil. Now they're weekend guys at best, right? Don't know what the situation is. They take it upon themselves to say, "Give me your pencil and paper." When he said, "No, I've got permission from the warden and from the chaplain, and then, but they're not here, and we are. Give up the paper and pencil." And he said, if you want it, come get it." It took 5 of them to take him down, but he took 3 of them, put one of them in the hospital. And he did better than they did. But the thing is the guards instigated it. And when everybody got back on Monday, they were like, "What did you do to this guy?" And the one guy's got his arm in a sling, and he's got his head wrapped up. And I was working in the dining room at the time, so I heard part of this conversation. And the warden was chewing this deputy sheriff up one side and down the other. He said, "I gave that man permission, and you took it upon yourself to go in there but sir, don't you sir me. I'll have you fired, you son of a bitch." I mean, and I was like, whoa, give him. So there are people like the warden. I considered him to be a fair man. You had to really do something shitty. Really do something shitty. Now, his hands were tied because the law of the jail says that if a guard is attacked, then these are the steps. So he had to keep the guy in solitary confinement. When they were about to let him into it was 3 or 4 people in a small cell block, but it wasn't solitary. And so he had to leave the guy there. And I was like, but it was because of the guards. And oh my God. And if that's not just an isolated incident. That's going on all the time. Some guard's got to be up his bonnet, and he's going to make you pay for it. And it ain't got nothing to do with money, but it has everything to do about power and control. And I'm the sheriff and you're not. I'm the guard and you're not. Remember that study that was done years ago when people volunteered to be the prisoners and some people, decided to be the guards. And after like a week, it had gotten way out of hand. So think about this on a 24/7 basis. And with a prison system, I'm going to shut up about this. And with a prison system that is privately owned, with government oversight. No wonder people come out and want to go right back to being a criminal. We've got the opportunity to fix this, and we don't. Yeah, Stanford, that's the one, pretty sure. There are some war dens that I would absolutely agree that they're you know, it's, but unfortunately I've known several wardens of jails because of being in there. And as long as you're like, and you don't necessarily have to be the model prisoner, just don't create a bunch of crap, right? Just be a decent human being, serve your time and be, you know. But anyway, enough about that. But the games have begun. The Blunder games have begun. So, my friends, I love you. Lady Spitfire, Project, Fox, Candy Apple as always. G and oh, Delaney Jones. Hey, you come in here at the end. Hi, chat. I know a few COS. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, G and everybody. And who is it on the other side of the world? In Europe? Jay? Oh, by Jamie. Yeah. It's good to see you new folks in the chat. It really is. So anyway, after damn near 2 hours again. I love you all. Thank you so much. Remember, there's more to the story than what you're being told. And with the fake news out there being the propaganda artist, and you know that they are, keep an eye on what is true and follow your heart with some of these things. And if it pisses you off, you got 5 minutes. That's what St. Germain says. 5 minutes, be angry, and then get over it. Drop it. Just get on with it. So we are all hybrid humans on this planet. We're going to find that out soon. Who is that? Mel Azazel. Oh, cheers to you. Yes, and rainbows, etc. You got chances. You got 5 minutes. All kinds of new folks showing up. I'm pleased to see you. And I've said this last night, and I will say it again. I absolutely do feel blessed by all y'all's presence. You know, when I first started doing this, I was like, man, who in the hell cares about what I got to say in whatever way, shape, or form? And the fact that you all can participate and hang out and give your opinion, I appreciate your opinion. And that's why I read it, you know, because in case the chat isn't there on a replay or something, I can let folks know in the video that you all are. Delaney says, I'm putting together a video of stills of my ghost and gentry friends. You're welcome, Teresa. We're all sending prayers so that your headache gets better. And I know this is a dumb thing, but I had a migraine the other day, and I woke up with the damn thing, and I was like, God almighty, I hate headaches. I've had a lot of traumatic brain injury myself. And I was like, and it wasn't until I had my second cup of coffee with, real caffeine in it kind of thing, it eased up. So as much as caffeine has got its bad sides, it can help alleviate a headache by opening up the pores. But, so have a cup of coffee with Bob. It is now like a knife in the right eye. And she's having coffee right now. Yeah, mine was over this side. Well, see, I don't know if you can see, but I got a scar here where I hit myself in the head with a hammer. Now, I didn't just go like this. I was trying to knock a board loose by coming up from underneath. And beer gives me headaches too. I can't drink anymore, Mel. But I was going like this with a hammer, claw hammer, and it slipped out of my hand and hit this board and hit it and flew up and around and hit me over the eye and laid me open. Yeah, there's the scar right there on my forehead. That arc right there over my eye. Well, when they took a bone scan and there's a great big round circle right here on my cranium. Oh, you found a hammer, yeah. But so I get a lot of problems with this right here, and there are some times where it's pushing the back of my eye and coming down my cheek right here at the moment. So, but yeah, I understand it. But I'm going to drink some more coffee. I made a fresh pot before I started this, but thank you all for hanging out with me. And I do send love and prayers to each and every day for each and every one of you. And now I got new folks to remember, you know. Mel Azazel, thank you so much. And doggone it, I'm gonna go back up here and Project Skyfalls, Ween, yes, yes, yes. Me and Dave are twins. We love you. Thank you, Candy. Joyce, yes. Blessings. I like blessings too, as well as blessings. Got to pick on you a little bit there, Miss Joyce. Oh man, and Fox, it's good to see you back again. Hope that last night, early this morning. Well, I guess it was yesterday now because it's past 12. Um, G Ant, Fox, and I was trying to find. Oh, by Jamie Hiller. Yeah, okay, Jamie. Yes. Um, so for all y'all hanging out in the background and hanging out in the world, cheers. Good. You do feel better. Remember, we may be separated by space, but we are in real time with each other. And today, just to put this out there, for a couple of hours, man, there was just a real sadness in coming from somewhere. And I don't know what it was, but I mean, I was just sitting here going, man, I just want to cry about something, but I don't know what it is. So I just sat here and just kind of let my thoughts go. Nothing, definitive came in, but that maybe I was just feeling the sadness for some of this craziness going on here in the universe. Thank you, Mel Azazel. So, but with that said, let's close with a prayer. As always, and I do mean it, I pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the benefits from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the blessings from the universe. And as the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue your journey and will continue to accept and receive and share the knowledge and the wisdom of the universe. And I think you all are doing a really good job of staying out of the chaos. You're aware of what's going on. Remember, 5 minutes, give them hell, right, G-Ant? When is my birthday? It's the 24th of this month. So however many days that is, about 2 weeks-ish. The 24th, I think it's on a Tuesday or Wednesday, middle of the week. Don't care. I usually celebrate my birthday if it's in the middle of the week for what it is to celebrate on the weekend. So I used to have a big fall party every year, and it was my excuse to have a birthday party, but it was always the weekend after my birthday, because by the third week of September, there have been times when it got down to 30 degrees. And, since I've been living here, so there are people like, woo, we're this cold front, and it's never been like this. Oh, yes, it has. I remember like 2 weeks into September, many moons ago, but I was living on this property, so it's been within the last 35 years, that it was freezing here around my birthday. There was frost on the ground. So don't tell me it can't get cold in September. Oh, we've never seen it like this. You guys just don't remember. But anyway, my granny was 9732. I posted a bit of her. Oh, so happy belated. 88 is the year 9. 27 of April, 88. That's an interesting number, isn't it? That's 72 backwards, or 27, 72, and 88. Anyway, my 10 cents. Blessings and blessings back to y'all of the Dragon Earth. Yep. Okay, my friends. No fear, focus intentions, says Joyce. Absolutely. Love you all. Stay toasty, Dave. Oh, it's way hot down here, but we love you. Thank you, Delaney. I think you, I subbed to your channel, so I think again, but anyway, we got it right this time. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening. Have a safe tomorrow. We're coming into the weekend, and down here they're saying that the highs are only going to be in the 80s. So and Duggar's sprayed out over on the couch with his legs up on his back like this. So he's in seventh heaven. But I got to take him out, and we'll go feed the cats, and and we'll talk at y'all later. So from South Georgia, as always, I am your humble host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, aka also known as David Null. And I say thank you, Bob, and to the internet for allowing us to meet. Thank you for the universe. Thank you to the stars. Thank you to the angels that are keeping an eye on us. Thank you to the ETs that are actually trying to help us win this war. And let's just say thank you in general to the Creator. So for another time, another day, I've got some suggestions for doing some card readings, and also discussion about some more Native American traditions and more about animal spirits. So my friends, ween, till next time, keep it between the ditches, and TTFN. Cheers, everybody. Adios.